So I'm Lachman Singh Maluka, and I would be taking a very important session today that is basically concerned about the revolutionary terrorism phase. This phase is one of the most important phase of the Indian national movement that is there, and therefore it becomes very important in the context that many a time there can be a question from prelims in this perspective. The question can also be there in the mains perspective also कि mains का question भी बन सकता है in the context that how the ideology developed of revolutionary terrorism, how with the passage of time the ideology changed, and what other developments took place in the change, and therefore that led to the change in the ideology and the things. In the course of the class, I would be discussing various important things focused from pre-perspective and whatever is possible that can be asked in the mains also. I like to cover it also. In the course of the class, if there is any doubt regarding anything, you can definitely ask me that issue. जो भी आपको मुद्दा है, जो भी डाउट होगा, आप उसको पूछ सकते हैं. Basically, in the context that whatever are the important issues that has to be covered and that has to be discussed. Hello, good evening. How are you? In this context, that the questions they become very important and fundamental in the governance also. Therefore, it becomes important in regard that we cover these questions in a very comprehensive format. Any questions that can be there in prelims. Hello, Chidakshvi, how are you? Any questions that can be there, I'll be trying to cover it that also. Though for those students who have still not joined the Plus platform, they can use my referral code. My referral code is Maluka10. They can use my referral code and you'll get a 10% discount on all the courses which are being run on the Plus platform. Along with this, you can also join me on the Telegram group. The name of the Telegram group is Maluka Sir. You can join me over here also. Not only you can join me, what also you can WhatsApp me on my number 99101 in this on this number. Basically, in the context that if you have any doubt regarding any of the issue that you are facing for the preparation of UPSC, I'll try to help you out. And whenever you are sending me a message on WhatsApp, definitely do one thing. Write your name and do write that you are a student of Unacademy platform, and then only I would be adding you to the group. Because that's a group that has been created only for helping the Unacademy students, or उसमें कोई और students नहीं होंगे. Therefore, it would be in that consideration only. Firstly, secondly. Next thing that is very important is the topic that we would be covering today, that is basically revolutionary terrorism. Friends, there has been different phases in which this revolutionary terrorism, this phase has been going on. Various developments have definitely been taking place in this regard. And we would be discussing the issue from a holistic perspective, that there can be various different questions that can be coming. Many questions have definitely been asked in the prelims also, and I'll to cover it very comprehensively. When you talk about the revolutionary terrorism, the phases of revolutionary terrorism, what were the different leadership that was being provided? One thing that become clear to us in this regard is basically in the context that the failure of the moderates on the one hand and the failure of the extremists on the other hand, this was one taking place. Along with the repressive policies that were being followed by the British government, like multiple things are taking place at one point. Moderates और extremists अपनी आइडियोलॉजी में फेल हो रही हैं. गवर्नमेंट suppression की पॉलिसी को फॉलो कर रही है. And the People at that point of time, they are basically being influenced by the different methods of struggle, that is Irish struggle, Irish movement that was going on. Not only that they were being influenced by the different methods of struggle, but also they were influenced in the context that there was also the existence of various militant school of thought that gave rise to revolutionary terrorism. जब तक कोई स्कूल ऑफ थॉट नहीं है, it becomes comparatively difficult to implement that policy what has basically been there. किस तरीके से? For example, there is an ideology that is there, but there is no people to follow or implement that ideology. तो उस केस में इफेक्ट प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. The methods of struggle, that is, for example, the Irish movement, that was already there. Just एक बार रिफ्रेश करो. एक बार रिफ्रेश करो आप क्लास को. दोबारा से लॉग इन करके देखो. Try to log in again तो ठीक हो जाएगा. Because I'm also I've checked it तो मेरे यहाँ पे ठीक आ रहा है. The revolutionary terrorists, they believed in having a quick result. They were not willing to wait for longer hours to achieve the result. कि चलो ठीक है 2 साल 10 साल 5 साल 15 साल हम लड़ते रहेंगे एंड धीरे धीरे रिजल्ट भी आ जाएगा. दैट वाज वन थिंग. The methods of the moderates, that is prayer, press and petition on the one hand, and on the other hand, the other methods, for example, can be basically into consideration of the extremist, of rallies and strikes and other thing. They have particularly failed at that point of time to influence the common people. On the other hand, there was an alternative ideology that was existing over there. Not only an alternative ideology, examples were there, for example, the Irish movement, and the existence of various militant school of thought had given rise to revolutionary terrorism. And what was their ideology? They do not want to wait for a very long result. They wanted to have quick result, ताकि जल्दी से कोई result आ सके. And for that, they were even ready to sacrifice their own life and set an example before the others to follow. This is what, in their words, or what the literature has been written, they wanted to show the manhood of the Indians to the Britishers, that they are ready to sacrifice their life. By sacrificing their life, they will be in a position to set an example so others can also follow. As they wanted to have quick results, they were not willing to wait for long. Various developments have taken place in the phase of revolutionary terrorism. पहले it was basically, अगर हम revolutionary terrorism की बात करते हैं, it was basically in various phases that it has developed. Various different phases has also been seen. Initially जब इसकी शुरुआत होती है in 1897, and later on also that continued for some time. It was basically an individual effort that was being made. कुछ 2-4 लोग इकट्ठे हुए या 1-2 लोग इकट्ठे हुए and they made an attempt to kill someone. Kill that person who has committed something wrong against the common masses. This was the initial phase, but with the passage of time, they led to a second thing also. For example, पहले हिंदुस्तान रिपब्लिकन एसोसिएशन बनता है, then after a short point of a time, they come under the influence basically of the socialism. या socialism के influence के अंदर आ जाएंगे, there would be different ideology. For example, not only that they were looking for political independence, political justice, but also social and economic things also they started talking about. Later on in 1930s, it is basically a group action that was seen. For example, जैसे Surya Sen and others, they would be carrying out a group action. Kakuri and other dacoities would be carried out, and that cannot be arranged by a common man. So there would be different phases that we would be covering, starting from an individual heroic action to, for example, development of socialistic ideologies ki ek akele ka fayda nahi hai, we need to, there would be different groups that would be coming, and from there moving towards, for example, the mass effort. When we talk about the development, initial development, for example, in 1897, Damodar Chapekar and his brother Balkrishan Chapekar, they basically carried out the first political murder in Pune. पुणे का पहला political murder इन्होंने organize किया. What they did was they wanted to kill Mr. Rand, but by mistake another person Iced was killed. Why the attempt was being made to kill Mr. Rand? Because he was the president of the plague committee in Pune. This was a time period when the plague has occurred, famine has occurred in the Pune and other regions. Started from a famine in Madras and it affected different parts of the country also. As the Britishers were not making any effort, in anger they killed Mr. Rand. Tilak has praised their act in his newspaper. Tilak ने इस अपने newspaper, that is Kesari and Maratta, इस newspaper में इनकी act को praise किया that they have done an act of bravery. And for this, he was also sentenced for 18 months of jail. It was here that he got the name Lokmanya. यहाँ उसको लोकमान्य उनको लोकमान्य का नाम मिला. तो ये क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता, already once it has been asked, it can also be asked again कि which of the following was called as लोकमान्य. तो वहाँ पे आपका आंसर बनता तिलक. कब हुआ था? Because he was sentenced to 18 months of jail for praising the act of the mother of the Chapekar brother, that is the Damodar Chapekar and Balkrishan Chapekar, as they had killed Mr. Ernst. Another 1899, V.D. Savarkar, he set up Mitra Mela at Nasik. In 1902, P. Mitra and Satish Chandra Bose, it was they who organized Anushilan Smiti at Calcutta. इन्होंने क्या organize किया? Anushilan Smiti को organize किया at Calcutta. Pulen Das also organized Anushilan Smiti, but the Anushilan Smiti of Pulen Das was basically organized at Dhaka. अनुशीलन समिति बनाई है, एक ने बनाई है ढाका में और दूसरे ने बनाई है कलकत्ता में. In 1904, V.D. Savarkar, he organized Avinav Bharat. इन्होंने अभिनव भारत को organize किया. A very important development that took place was basically out of India in 1905. When Shyamji Krishan Verma, he set up Home Rule Society at London. उन्होंने क्या किया? Home Rule Society बनाई at London. Popularly that was known as India House. और उसको India House भी बोला जाता था. He published a monthly journal by the name Indian Sociologist to put forward India's cause, India's के cause को आगे रखने के लिए. That was there at that point. Indian Sociologist monthly journal was there. Not only this, but in 1907, India House also celebrated the Golden Jubilee of 1857. 1857 के विद्रोह की Golden Jubilee भी मनाई इन्होंने. And later on, it also published a pamphlet by the name titled Grave Warning. That was published by him. तो यहाँ से क्वेश्चन कई बार बन चुका है. The question is, for example, who set up Indian House? Who published a monthly journal, Indian Sociologist? This question has been asked. Who published this pamphlet with the title Grave Warning? These are the questions which are being asked. तो 10 आर्ट्स पढ़ने से निकल जाएगा यूपीएससी. Shiv Kumar, I can tell you one thing, and with very much authority or with very much confidence, is that even if you start your preparation today is for example, right? अगर आज भी अपनी तैयारी स्टार्ट करते हो and continuously you make a proper schedule, आप 10 hours पढ़ते हो under proper guidance, डेफिनेटली आपका एक ही अटेम्प्ट में निकल सकता है, डेफिनेटली नो द इवन द सेकेंड अटेम्प्ट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. One attempt is sufficient if there is a proper guidance. Even if you are starting your preparation from 11th of December today, then also it's not a problem. I can be very much, I'm very much sure on this कि आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगी. बट जो सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है शिव, वो ये है कि आपकी गाइडेंस सही होनी चाहिए. दिस इज वॉट आई बिलीव इट वेरी firmly, because it is the guidance only that helps a student to guide कि इतना फालतू मत पढ़ो ताकि आपको खुद ही इफेक्ट हो जाएगा. What is needed to the point has to be read, and this becomes important in the context कि जितना ज़्यादा मटेरियल अवेलेबल हो रहा है ऑफलाइन एंड ऑनलाइन मोड में, इट कंपेरेटिवली बिकम्स डिफिकल्ट कि क्या पढ़ा जाए और क्या ना पढ़ा जाए. तो वहाँ पे अगर आपके पास गाइडेंस सही है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, तो कंपेरेटिवली यू कैन डेफिनेटली क्लियर इन दिस अटेम्प्ट ओनली. ऑप्शनल क्या है शिव आपका? व्हाट्स योर ऑप्शनल? हिस्ट्री. ओके, तो हिस्ट्री भी काफ़ी, इट्स नॉट दैट बैड एन ऑप्शनल, इट्स अ स्कोरिंग ऑप्शनल. तो आप इसको अच्छे तरीके से तैयार करेंगे विद प्रॉपर गाइडेंस, डेफिनेटली इट कैन बी डन, नो प्रॉब्लम. बस मैपिंग वाला पोर्शन आता है, वहाँ पे ट्राई टू कवर इट वेरी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली सो दैट यू आर गेटिंग वेरी गुड मार्क्स इन द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, दैट इज यार आपको अच्छे मार्क्स मिल सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज in 1905, Brinder Kumar Ghosh, he published a pamphlet Bhavani Mandir that was published to him. This basically what was there, it indicated a very detailed plan for organizing a center of revolutionary activities. तो आपको की क्वेश्चन है कि भिवानी मंदिर किसने पब्लिश किया था? इट इज बी के घोष, वरिंदर कुमार घोष. डायरेक्टली अ क्वेश्चन कैन बी देयर इन प्रीलिम्स. And this was basically followed by a publication of Vartaman Raniti, that what should be the strategy that should be followed. Vartaman Raniti, that is there. Equally important, very, very important. The Bengal Revolutionaries, they also published Yugantar and Sandhya, along with the title Mukti Kaun Pate. Very important one. In 1907, the revolutionaries by the name B.K. Ghosh and B.N. Dutt, they made an attempt, though the attempt was unsuccessful, basically to kill Fuller. Who is Fuller? He was basically the governor of West Bengal. Another important development was the development that took place in 1908. It was Praful Chakki and Khudiram Bose. What they did was they threw a bomb at Mr. King's fort. He was basically an unpopular judge of Muzaffarpur, but by mistake they killed Mr. Kennedy, and two ladies were killed also. Later on, both of them, Praful Chakki and Khudiram Bose, they were arrested. Praful Chakki, he shot himself, while Khudiram Bose was tried and later on he was also hanged. Next is Pulindas of Dhaka, Anushit Smiti. He also tried to carry out Bharat dacoity. That was there. A.K. Ghosh, Ashwini Kumar Ghosh, Vindu Kumar Ghosh, and B.K. Ghosh, they were basically tried in Alipur conspiracy case. They were arrested by the police when the police they seized basically the arms from Maniktala garden during the search. तो उस टाइम पे उन दोनों को अरेस्ट कर लिया गया था. Narinder Kumar, who was basically turned as an approver, was shot dead in the jail itself. Narinder Kumar जो गवाही दे गया था इनके खिलाफ, उसको मार दिया गया था, shot dead. Tilak, he basically applauded the Bengali revolutionary for their high aims, that they are in a position to वो बदला ले सकते हैं. And because of this, that he applauded the Bengali revolutionaries, he was basically tried and sentenced for 6 year jail. 6 साल के लिए इनको जेल में भेज दिया. एंड बेसिकली वॉज सेंट टू मांडले जेल इन बर्मा. तो वहाँ पे 6 साल जेल में रहे. जब वापस आएंगे देन ही वुड स्टार्ट to make an attempt for his entry into the Congress, and not only entry into the Congress but also in the context that the Lucknow Pact, or for example, the pact can be signed between the Congress, for example, the moderates and the extremists. In 1908 and 9, Madam Bikaji Kama, she basically founded Paris India Society in Paris. Very very important. ये आ चुका है क्वेश्चन, दोबारा फिर पूछा जा सकता है कि पेरिस इंडिया सोसाइटी को पेरिस में किसने फाउंड किया था. वेरी सिंपल, मैडम बिकाजी कामा. She also founded an independent India society over there and also published Vande Mataram. A journal was published by the name Vande Mataram. ये पूछा जा सकता है. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जो है वो ये पूछा जा चुका ऑलरेडी. हु वाज द फर्स्ट पर्सन टू अनफर्ल द फ्लैग एट स्टुटगर्ट. इट बेसिकली शी रिप्रेजेंटेड इंडिया at the International Socialist Congress that was there, held at Stuttgart in 1907. And it was she that he unfurled the national flag. It was a tricolor national flag. The तीन कलर कौन से थे? Red, green and yellow. These were the three colors of which Indian flag was made, which was hurled, which was basically in Stuttgart. Green, red and yellow. She was also known as the mother of revolutionaries in India. Sardar Singh Rana was basically associated with her. Sardar Singh Rana उसी के साथ काम करते थे. Next is very very important development in 1909. Madan Lal Dhingra, he shot dead Colonel William Curzon Willie. William Curzon Willie को मार दिया, who was basically a political ADC to Indian office. Dhingra को arrest किया गया and later on he was hanged. Savarkar was arrested and deported. Shyamji Krishan Verma, he had to leave London and settled in Paris. Yes. In 1909, Mr. Jackson was shot dead by Anant Lakshman Karkare. He was a member of Abhinav Bharat. Formally, this is known as Nasik conspiracy case. In 1912, a very very important development took place. Two persons by the name Ras Bihari Bose and Sachin Sanyal. A very important development. They basically threw a bomb at Viceroy Lord Harding. बहुत बड़ी बात है. Viceroy Lord Harding के ऊपर इन्होंने बॉम्ब फेंक दिया. This is famously known as Delhi conspiracy case, in which 13 people were arrested and later on Dinanath had turned the approver. Dinanath बाद में गवाही दे गया इनके खिलाफ. In 1913, a very important development is the Gadar movement that took place. There can be a question that can be asked in for the Gadar movement. उन main सिर्फ Gadar movement के ऊपर ही question पूछा जा सकता है. Lala Hardayal, he basically founded Hindi Association in Portland. In Portland में Hindi Association found किया and a weekly paper by the name Gadar was started. Weekly paper जो Gadar को start किया गया इस time पे. He along with other person, for example, Sohan Singh Pakna, Pai Paramanand, Kashiram, Harnam Singh Tundilat, they set up a Yugantar ashram in San Francisco. उन्होंने युगंतर आश्रम बनाया सैन फ्रांसिस्को में. In November 1st November 1913, the first issue of the Gadar was published. And language कौन सी थी? It was the Urdu language that was used. The second language that was, the second issue came on 9th of December and the language was Gurumukhi, Punjabi. Later on also, Gadar was basically published in various other languages, for example, Urdu, Gurumukhi, Gujarati and Hindi. Question ये आ चुका, ये question भी आ चुका, which of the following languages the Gadar was published? Another question that has already been asked is कि पहली कौन सी language में जिसमें Gadar था? Now, what was their ideology? What was their people thinking? इसके आगे फिर हम continue करेंगे. There was a good amount of discrimination that was going on against the Indians in foreign lands. And they came to a conclusion that this discrimination will continue to grow. This discrimination will always be there and it can never end till the time we're able to free our country. वो अपनी कंट्री को फ्री करने की बात हो रही थी. And for that they started thinking that we need to make an effort कि to free our country, और जब तक अपनी कंट्री को फ्री नहीं करवा पाएंगे, जब तक हमारी कंट्री फ्री नहीं होगी, till the time we will not be respected in the foreign land, तब तक foreign land में अपनी respect नहीं होगी. In this consideration it became very very important कि पहले country को free किया जाए, then only the discrimination that is done against the Indians can be ended. A decision was taken that we had to create awareness among the population. The literature was distributed. The people were made aware of the discrimination that is being going upon against them. And क्या कहा गया कि we have to go to India. Some dedicated young persons were chosen and other people. We have to go to India, carry out a revolution in India. Then only we would be able to free our country. They basically had a very strong and a firm belief in arms. What they started thinking was that if we in land, for example in Canada or for example in USA, अगर हमको लग रहा है कि हमें डिस्क्रिमिनेशन किया जा रहा है, अगर हम इंडिया में तो और भी ज़्यादा डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होगा. The people would be ready to give a fight, give a tough battle to the Britishers. What they planned was they basically planned for an all India revolution. And the leaders were Lala Hardyal, Bhagwan Singh, Kartar Singh Sraba and Barkatullah and others. These were the important leaders there. Initially, the attempt was being made and gather the newspaper that highlighted various points. 14 points were published. I highlighted various things. And in the last 2 points out of the 14 points, they even gave the solution to the problem कि अगर ब्रिटिशर्स से हमें सफ़र किया जा रहा है तो इनसे बचने के लिए भी solution है. They basically issued a 14 points and highlighted the same. What they said was there is a good amount of the drain of wealth that is taking place. Drain of wealth हो रहा है. They highlighted that the per capita income of the Indians is comparatively very low. What they highlighted was there is a good amount of land tax that is prevailing. Not only this, but they said that there is a good amount of contrast between the low expenditure on the health and a very high expenditure on military. Health पे बहुत कम expenditure है, military पे ज़्यादा expenditure है. They basically focused upon that there is a good amount of destruction of the Indian arts and industry that is taking place. There is a reoccurrence of the famine and the plague that is there. बार बार हो रहा है. And said that it is the Britishers who have failed to provide any facilities to the Indians, and there is a continuous occurrence of the famine and plague. और जब भी कोई problem होती है, they are unable to provide help to us. Not only this, but say that the Indian taxpayer money is basically being used in Afghanistan. It is also being used in Burma and other places also. पैसा हमारा है, वो यूज वो कर रहे हैं वहां पे डेवलपमेंट करने के लिए, वहां पे बैटल्स लड़ने के लिए. So therefore, they say that in India जो बाहर है तो इंडिया का पैसा यूज कर रहे हैं मिलिट्री एक्सपेंशन करने के लिए. The British policy of promoting discord in Indian states, अपनी इंडियन स्टेट्स में वो डिविजन्स करवा रही हैं, क्यों? So that they are in a position to extend their own influence. In the last 2 points, they suggested what is the solution to the prevailing problem. They say that there is a need for a revolt. रिवोल्ट की जरूरत है. क्यों? 56 years have passed since 1857 कि अब इतना टाइम होगा कोई रिवोल्ट नहीं हुआ है. And they said that there are 7 crore Indians in states. 24 crore Indians are there in British India. They should take up arms. and they should revolt against the Britishers, who are just 7,900 in number and they are ruling India. इतने कम लोग होने के बावजूद भी they are in a position to rule for approximately so long over 31 crore of Indians. यहाँ पे क्या जरूरत है? To become very very important and essential to analyze all these things. Not only that they highlighted what are the problems of Indians, but also what can be the possible solution to end the British rule. They are basically influenced by ideology कि हम अपने देश में वापस जाएंगे, वापस जाके वहाँ पे रिवोल्ट करेंगे. We would be encouraging different people would also be coming along with us, and we would be revolting and creating a condition that is comparatively difficult for the Britishers. Well, this idea, this development, these things were going on, they were basically encouraged by two another and more important events that were taking place. What were those? The first is the Kamagata Maru incident. It was an incident that basically occurred in September 1914. September 1914 में incident हुआ था. A very important one. What was there? The Indians, they were not allowed at that point of time to go and settle basically in Vancouver and other regions. Various restrictions were being imposed. जैसे for example अगर किसी ने आना है तो directly चल के आना पड़ेगा, रास्ते में नहीं रुक सकते. But there was a weakness in law. लॉ बनाया गया और लॉ में थोड़ी सी वीकनेस थी. गुरदत्त सिंह को पता लगा कि ऐसे कुछ उस लॉ की वीकनेस को यूज करके कुछ लोग दे हैव सक्सेसफुल इन एंटरिंग इनटू वैंकूवर. वैंकूवर जाने में कामयाब हो चुके हैं. एंड ही आल्सो मेड एन अटेम्प्ट कि मैं भी कुछ लोगों को वैंकूवर लेके जा सकता हूँ. He basically took 370 passengers from Singapore to Vancouver. But जब वहां पे पहुंचा, the loopholes that were there in the laws, those loopholes had already been plugged. जब वो सिंगापुर से चले, Kamagata Maru is basically the name of a ship that was there. जब वो सिंगापुर से चले, there were certain loopholes in the laws. Using those loopholes, they were thinking that they will be in a position to enter the Canadian mainland. But जब वो वहां पे जाएंगे, those loopholes have been plugged. अब क्या किया जाए? They were not allowed to enter into the Canadian mainland. Canadian mainland में उनको entry नहीं किया. And their issue was taken up, but they also कि रुके रहे कि हम वहां पे रहेंगे, अगर वहां पे समुद्र में कुछ टाइम शिप को खड़ा करेंगे. देख, let's see what happens. To put forward their case, इनके केस को आगे लेके जाने के लिए shore committee was set up. The shore committee was set up to fight their case, basically consisting of Sohanlal Pathak, Balwant Singh and Hussain Rahim. The issue of this, the Kamagata Maru was taken up. The committee was set up. तो आपको पूछा जा सकता है shore committee किसके लिए बिठाई गई थी? Basically to fight for the case of these people. And therefore it become very very important in this consideration कि इन तीन members का सोहनलाल पाठक, बलवंत सिंह and Hussain Rahim इनके बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए. These were the members. But despite the fact that the committee was formed, they were fighting the case in the court, they were not allowed to enter the Canadian mainland and they were made to return. उनको return होना पड़ा. One was this thing. लोगों को लगने लगा, who was there in Canada, कि यार इनके साथ गलत हुआ है. The second development that took place was basically the outbreak of the World War I. गदराइट्स को लगने लगा नाउ द ब्रिटिशर्स आर फेसिंग अ प्रॉब्लम और हमें इन प्रॉब्लम को फायदा उठाना चाहिए. एंड देयरफॉर वी वुड बी इन अ पोजीशन टू गिव अ टफ बैटल टू द ब्रिटिशर्स. ब्रिटिशर्स ने हमें बहुत यूज किया है, हमें हमारी मजबूरी को यूज किया. नाउ द टाइम हैज कम टू रिटर्न द सेम थिंग टू द ब्रिटिशर्स. इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय दीज टू इवेंट्स, द गदराइट्स ने क्या डिसाइड किया? दे डिसाइडेड टू लॉन्च अ वायलेंट अटैक ऑन इंडियंस. और डेट फिक्स करी गई as 21st February 1915 was fixed at the date of attack. But it was leaked by Kirpal Singh. Kirpal Singh ने बता दिया, and not only it was leaked, but he also passed upon the secrets of the plans to the government. The government, while they were coming, the government took various repressive measures. Government ने काफी repressive measures लिए इनके खिलाफ. In the repressive measures that was taken by the Britishers, they were not allowed to enter into the Indian shore. कुछ लोग अलग अलग जगह से अलग अलग इधर उधर से गए. Basically, in the context that Kirpal Singh and other, for example, Kartar Singh Sraba and others, कुछ तो वहां से बांग्लादेश, सॉरी इधर से बंगाल से होकर आए. Some people they have to go to down south. वहां से छुप छुप के जो कैसे भी निकल के हुए they reached Punjab and tried to organize a revolt over there. But as the plan had already been leaked, it had comparatively become difficult. And the Britishers they have also taken various repressive measures to deal with them. अलग अलग repressive measures भी लिए हुए थे. इनके साथ कैसे डील किया जा सकता है. While they came to India, when they were there, they were shocked. They were facing the problem in when they were there in for example in Canada. उनको वहां पे problems हो रही थी. उनको लगा कि इंडियंस को भी प्रॉब्लम हो रही होगी, तो दे वुड बी आल्सो एनकरेज की क्या बात है, अगर बाहर से लोग चल कर आ रहे हैं तो यहाँ से भी तो लोग को प्रॉब्लम हो रही थी. दे वुड बी ज्वाइनिंग. बट व्हेन दे केम टू इंडिया दे फाउंड दैट, तो यहाँ वाले कह सकते हो कि यहाँ वाले लोगों का खून ऑलमोस्ट बिल्कुल ठंडा हो चुका था. दे वर नॉट अगेंस्ट ब्रिटिशर्स, दे वर नॉट विलिंग टू टेक अप आर्म्स अगेंस्ट द ब्रिटिशर्स. अब क्या किया जाए इस कंडीशन में? दे ट्राई टू ऑर्गेनाइज द रिवोल्ट इन आर्मी. आर्मी में रिवोल्ट करवाने की कोशिश करी गई. बेसिकली क्यों रिवोल्ट किया? कि वहां से आप आर्म्स इकट्ठे कर सकते हो. आर्म्स कुड बी रीच्ड. नॉट ओनली दिस, अनदर प्रॉब्लम दैट दे फेस वाज कि अब इस टाइम के ऊपर एक कह सकते हो कि लीडरशिप की कमी हो गई थी. जब लीडरशिप की कमी हो गई थी एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ अ टाइम, बाय चांस दे वर लकी टू फाइंड अ लीडर बाय द नेम राश बिहारी बोस. It was he who assumed the leadership of the movement at that point. रास बिहारी बोस अभी आपको बताया था. He was the person who had already done various revolutionary activities. In the context that he had thrown bomb on Viceroy Lord Harding, and by chance he met. That was something that was very much liked. लेकिन बाद में problem क्या हुई? They were unable to sustain, and the government has taken various repressive measures. They failed to bring out a very great challenge to the Britishers. No doubt the challenge was there. यही बहुत बड़ी बात है कि बाहर से आप चल कर आओगे और यहाँ पे एक रिवोल्ट ऑर्गेनाइज करने की कोशिश करोगे. इट्स अ वेरी बिग थिंग. The efforts has to be applauded. But as the Britishers they took various repressive measures, the leadership they also failed. For example, Rash Bihari Bose, he fled to Japan. Sachin Sanyal, he was transported for life. And various repressive measures were taken. For example, the Defense of India Act. Repressive measures लेने में इसलिए ब्रिटिशर्स कामयाब हो गए थे, simply for the reason that it was a World War I was that was going on. It was not a normal circumstances. अब uncommon circumstances में आप strict laws comparatively बना सकते हो. The Defense of India Act that was there, that was formulated in 1915, and various repressive measures were taken. No doubt, it is true that no doubt that they were in a position basically to bring a great challenge to the Britishers, but the movement was suppressed. Despite the fact that movement was suppressed, it became, for example, in the a symbol of resistance against the British rule. That even if a people can come out from the abroad and they can give a challenge, the Indians who are there in India they can also give a better challenge to the Britishers. And therefore, the revolutionary activities that took place after this movement, Ghadar movement, was comparatively also increased. Another important development that was taking place was basically 1924. Gopinath Saha and Kartar Singh Sraba. Bhagat Singh was basically influenced by Kartar Singh Sraba only. Other factors were there. He was one of his heroes. He attempted, Gopinath Saha and Kartar Singh Srava, they made an attempt to kill Charles Tegot, but by an error, and another Englishman by the name Day was killed. कोशिश की थी कि for example Tegot को मारना है, but by chance another Englishman by the name Day was killed. राम प्रसाद बिस्मिल, राम प्रसाद Yogesh Chatterjee, Chandrasekhar Azad, Sachin Sanyal. It was in this year that they met in Kanpur and founded Hindustan Republican Association. And the main organ of the Hindustan Republican Association was basically the Revolutionary, its mouthpiece, through which they tried to propagate their views. तो आपको पूछा जा सकता है द रेवोल्यूशनरी वाज अ माउथपीस और अ मेजर ऑर्गन और मेजर न्यूज़पेपर ऑफ whom? किसका था? हिंदुस्तान रिपब्लिकन एसोसिएशन का. Another important development is, for example, in the context that Sachin Sanyal, he wrote Bandi Jeevan, that was basically written in Hindi and in Gurmukhi language. Bandi Jeevan likha gaya. That helped influencing the people to great extent. HRA that declared that its aim is to overthrow the colonial rule in India. And through कैसे किया जाएगा? Through basically an armed revolution. Armed revolution से colonial rule को overthrow करना है. And establish the Republic of the United States of India, और United States of India को establish करने की कोशिश कर Republic को करें. It was in this regard that they had tried to bring about a good challenge by overthrowing the British rule. The colonial rule has to be overthrown. और overthrown कैसे करना है? It will be done by an armed revolution. In 1925, Ashfaq Ullah Khan, Ram Prasad Bismil, Roshan Singh and Rajinder Lahiri, ARRR, Ashfaq Ullah, Ram Prasad Bismil, Roshan Singh and Rajinder Lahiri. They basically organized a Kakori train robbery along with Chandrasekhar Azad, a very important. Kakori train robbery was organized with Chandrasekhar Azad by Ashfaq Ullah, Ram Prasad Bismil, Roshan Singh and Rajinder Lahiri. Next important development was that took place in 1928. Young revolutionaries, for example, Bhagat Singh, B.K. Sinha, Bhagwati Charan Vohra, Sukhdev, Ajay Ghosh, etc. They met under the leadership of Chandrasekhar Azad and Firozshah Kotla in Delhi. ये leader, for example, Bhagat Singh, भगवती चरण वोहरा, सुखदेव, अजय घोष, बी के सिन्हा, ये मिले कहां पे? चंद्रशेखर आजाद की लीडरशिप के अंडर फिरोजशाह कोटला ग्राउंड में. And these were the leaders at that point of time who were basically being influenced by the socialistic ideology. They created a new leadership and adopted that their goal is basically the spread of socialism as their goal. And ultimately it has to be the goal only. And इसके बाद ही they changed the name of Hindustan Republican Association basically to Hindustan Socialistic Republican Association. Why? Because they were very deeply influenced by the ideas of socialism. Socialism के idea से बहुत ज़्यादा deeply influenced थे. Another development that took place was in 1928. Lala Lajpat Rai. He was brutally beaten while he was leading the anti-Simon agitation in Lahore. Anti-Simon agitation को lead कर रहे थे वो. A Simon Commission was set up in 1927. According to the discussions that were there, कि 1919 का जब एक्ट पास किया गया था तो उसमें था कि आने वाले 10 साल के बाद एक और कमीशन बिठाया जाएगा कि वो देख पाएगा कि 1919 के प्रोविजन जो लगाए गए थे whether they are in a position to provide a responsible government to the Indians or not, और अगर नहीं है तो what steps can be taken. इसके लिए 10 साल के बाद एक कमीशन बिठाया जाएगा. That was there. But when the Simon Commission was started, तो इसको 2 साल पहले ही कर लिया, बिकॉज ब्रिटेन में क्या था, इट वॉज बेसिकली कंजर्वेटिव गवर्नमेंट वॉज देयर, और आने वाले टाइम में लग रहा था कि कंजर्वेटिव गवर्नमेंट अपकमिंग इलेक्शंस हार जाएगी, एंड दैट वुड बी बेसिकली बीइंग रिप्लेस्ड बाय अ लेबर गवर्नमेंट. And the conservative government, the leadership of the conservative government, they do not want to leave it to the basically to leave it to the and for example inexperienced government that would be form labor government to decide the future of India and others, कि वो इंडिया और उसके फ्यूचर को कैसे डिसाइड कर सकते हैं. देयरफॉर उन्होंने 2 साल पहले ही साइमन कमीशन को अपॉइंट कर दिया. द साइमन कमीशन वॉज बेसिकली एन ऑल वाइट साइमन कमीशन. सातों के सातों मेंबर्स इसके फॉर एग्जांपल ब्रिटिशर्स थे, and that was seen as a disrespect by the Indians. Why? Because basically in the context that कि इंडिया के फ्यूचर के बारे में डिस्कस हो रहा है, और यू आर नॉट मेकिंग, द इंडियंस आर नॉट अ मेंबर ऑफ दैट, तो ये कहाँ से सही हुआ? अगेंस्ट द साइमन कमीशन वेरियस एजिटेशन स्टार्टेड. Anti-Simon agitations was taking place. Wherever Simon Commission has visited India twice, and wherever Simon Commission was going, there was good amount of agitation that was going against it. Anti-Simon agitations was going on in Lahore also. The anti-Simon agitation that was there at Lahore, that was basically under the leadership of Lala Lajpat Rai. Because of the agitation that were going on, the Britishers they took repressive measures over here. Not only that repressive measures were taken, लाठी चार्ज were also done. और लाठी चार्ज के टाइम पे 30th of October 1928 को लाठी ज़्यादा लग गई लाला लाजपत राय को, जो लाठी लगने की वजह से with the passage of time in another 17 to 18 days Lala Lajpat Rai died in 1928, September 1928. उसी टाइम पे भगत सिंह ने कसम खाई थी कि इन नेक्स्ट स्पैन ऑफ 1 month कि मैं सॉन्डर्स को मार दूंगा. बेसिकली द पर्सन हु वर इन चार्ज ऑफ दैट एट द टाइम ऑफ साइमन कमीशन एजिटेशंस, it was because of his orders that they had taken place. So therefore on 17th of December 1928, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Azad, they basically assassinated Saunders at the Lahore railway station. Lahore railway station में Saunders को गोली मार के हत्या कर दी. The action taken by the government in this connection is basically known as the Lahore conspiracy case. इसको क्या बोला जाता है? Lahore conspiracy case. In 1929, Bhagat Singh and Bhukteshwar Dutt, very important development took place. Bhagat Singh और Bhukteshwar Dutt ने क्या किया? They basically threw a bomb in the Central Legislative Assembly against the passage of the Public Safety Bill. Public Safety Bill पास किया जा रहा था उसके खिलाफ, and the Trade Dispute Bill also. Public Safety Bill और Trade Dispute Bill के खिलाफ इन्होंने बॉम्ब फेंका. What they were saying that the bomb is to be thrown, was deliberately thrown on empty benches, ताकि किसी को चोट ना लगे, किसी को किसी की डेथ ना हो सके. empty benches पे देखा गया और देख के फेंका गया. It was over here that Bhagat Singh for the first time he used the slogan of Inqilab Zindabad that was written by Muhammad Iqbal. Why the need was felt to throw a bomb? Just because they said that if we have to make the deaf hear, we have to make a loud noise. अगर किसी बोले बंदे को सुनाना है तो बहुत जोर से आवाज करनी पड़ेगी, और जोर से आवाज करने के लिए हमें बॉम्ब की जरूरत पड़ती है. They were arrested and tried. The case was started against them, and the case later on, the trial that was there for throwing up a bomb, that was combined with Lahore conspiracy case. Jatin Das died in jail on 13 September 1929, basically on the 64th day of his epic fast. 64 days के लिए फास्ट रखा था, 64 डे उनकी डेथ हो गई. He was basically opposing the inhuman treatment that was given to the revolutionaries. and demanded that those revolutionaries should basically be treated as political prisoners. उनको political prisoner देखा जाए and not as for example terrorist. He was demanding, and therefore he said that we have to make attempt to give human treatment to them and oppose the inhuman treatment that was given to revolutionaries. Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru. They were sentenced to death, which was later on carried on 23rd of March 1931. In April 1930, a group of revolutionaries, basically led by Ganesh Ghosh, they organized Chittagong Armory Raid. Chittagong Armory Raid करवाई गई. It was taken in the name of Indian Republic Army, Republican Army के नाम के ऊपर करी कि चिटागोंग ब्रांच. इसके ऊपर फॉर एग्जांपल एक मूवी भी आई थी. Pritilata Vadekar died while conducting the raid. Kalpana Dutt was also arrested. After the loot, all revolutionaries they gathered outside the police armory under the leadership of Surya Sen and proclaimed over there the provisional revolutionary government. वहाँ पे उन्होंने proclaim कर दिया. बाद में सूर्या सेन was arrested and later on hanged also on 12th of January 1934. Surya Sen earlier he had participated in the non-cooperation movement, became a teacher in the school also, and famously इसको क्या बुलाया था मास्टर था. In 1931, Chandrasekhar Azad he shot himself during an encounter going on in the Alfred Park in Allahabad. On 27 February 1931, he shot himself because he did not want to be caught by the Britishers. On December 1931, two girls by the name Shanti Ghosh and Suniti Chaudhary, they shot the district magistrate of Kamila. मार दिया उसको, shot. He was shot dead. Another development was in 1932, in February. A very important development. Beena Das. He basically fired at the governor of Bengal from point blank range. जैसे ये है तो उड़ा दिया उसको. While receiving her degree at convocation. Convocation की डिग्री रिसीव करने के टाइम के ऊपर उसको गोली मारी और point blank range पे मार दिया. In 1940, Udham Singh killed Michael O'Dwyer on March 1940. Basically, किसके लिए? To take the revenge of Jallianwala Bagh killing. Jallianwala Bagh का बदला लेने के लिए उधम सिंह ने माइकल ओडवायर को मार दिया. He was a because Michael O'Dwyer was basically a person. He was Lieutenant Governor of Punjab at that point in 1919 when the Jallianwala Bagh massacre took place. और जब जलियांवाला बाग मैसेकर हुआ था, the unarmed people they were basically fired upon and later on they were killed also. और उसके बाद में under the public pressure, the Britishers they were forced to appoint a committee by the name Hunter Committee. कि आप बताओ कि जो पंजाब में जलियांवाला बाग मैसेकर हुआ कि वो सही था या गलत था. इज माइकल ओडवायर रिस्पॉन्सिबल और फॉर इट और ही इज नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल. उसके लिए कमेटी बिठाई गई थी बाय द नेम हंटर कमेटी. There were certain Indians who were also member of it. The Hunter Committee came out with a decision that Michael O'Dwyer was justified in using force. The use of the force was necessary at that point of a time, but the force that was used was far in excess that is required. वहाँ पे फोर्स यूज करना जरूरी था, हाँ, लेकिन जो फोर्स यूज करेगी वो जरूरत से ज्यादा यूज कर ली गई थी. And later on, Michael O'Dwyer was also acquitted for that. Later on, he was delivering a lecture in a hall that if needed, I will be in a position to repeat the act of Jallianwala Bagh again. While he was delivering his lecture, Udham Singh shot him dead and said that you will not be allowed to do it again. Next, there are certain miscellaneous points which become important in this regard. First is The philosophy of bomb. The philosophy of bomb. It is basically a book that was written by Bhagwati Charan Bohra, Chandrasekhar Azad, and Yashpal. The introduction of the philosophy of bomb was written by Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh in his introduction. Bhagat Singh in 1926 had helped in the establishment of the Punjab Naujawan Sabha established करवाई थी. Bhagat Singh said that the real revolutionary army lies in the villages and in the factories, and also wrote an article, Why I Am an Atheist. Article लिखा. Bhagat Singh, along with Sukhdev, they had established a Lahore Student Federation. And Lahore Student Federation भी बनाई. Atmanati Samiti was basically founded by Bipin Bihari Ganguly. And Atmanati Samiti found करी गई थी Bipin Bihari Ganguly ने. Savdesh Bandhav Smiti was another Smiti that was there, that was founded by Ashwini Kumar Dutt. Very, very important development. Yugantar Society was founded by Brinder Kumar Ghosh, BK Ghosh. Anjuman e Mohiban e Watan was basically founded by Ajit Singh of Punjab. Ajit Singh was uncle of Bhagat Singh. He also published the journal Bharat Mata published kiya. In 1926, S.C. Chatterjee, he published Patthar Dabbi, a very, very important. Brahmobadav Upadhyay, he was the first person to call Ravindranath Tagore as Gurudev. पहली बार किसी ने रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर को गुरुदेव बोला, it was Brahmobadav Upadhyay. Brahmobadav Upadhyay. In 1915, Indian Independence Committee was formed, also referred to as the Berlin Committee. It was basically formed by Rabindranath Chattopadhyay, B.N. Datta, and Lala Hardyal. It was the first to mobilize the settlers in Europe. Those people who were settled in Europe, उनको mobilize करने के लिए. And for mobilizing them, they basically formed a Zimmerman plan. उनको mobilize करने के लिए Zimmerman plan बनाया गया. Rabindranath Chattopadhyay, who was there in Berlin, published a newspaper by the name Talwar. Niveshita, a very good evening. Raja Mahendra Pratap, Barkatullah, Ubaidullah Sindhi, they formed the provisional government of Free India in Kabul. With Mahendra Pratap, he formed the president, and Barkatullah, he basically became the prime minister. Ubaidullah Sindhi is also associated with the Silk Handkerchief Conspiracy. Silk Handkerchief Conspiracy से associated किया जाता है इसको. Next is Jatindranath Mukherjee, also known as Baga Jatin. He tried to capture the Fort Williams at Balasur in Odisha, but he was also killed. In 1915, a mutiny was organized in Singapore under Jamadar Chisti Khan. Jamadar Abdul Ghani and Subedar Daud Khan. इन्होंने एक mutiny organize करी गई basically in Singapore. So friends, these are the various important phases that was there that can be basically seen in the topic of revolutionary terrorism. Various development took place. धीरे धीरे से उनकी developments होती रही. Individual hero action to group action, and for example even the influence of socialism that can be seen over them. So various developments took place with the passage of time. And the ideology, the way of thinking expanded. And not only this, but later on, they also directly and indirectly, socialism also had an influence on the Indian national movement. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल जब 1931 में कराची सेशन हुआ था तो क्या बोला गया? That independence is not only political independence that is required, but also along with political independence, there is a need for social independence, there is a need for economic independence also. Widen the base, you can say. So therefore, it becomes important that you are covering this topic very comprehensively. And friends, those who have still not joined the Plus platform, they can definitely join and use my referral code whenever you are joining. My referral code is Maluka10. जब भी आप इस रेफरल कोड को यूज करो किसी भी कोर्स को आपने ज्वाइन करना है, you will get a 10% of discount on all the courses which are being run on the Plus platform. अगर और भी कोई हेल्प है, यू कैन ऑल्सो ज्वाइन मी ऑन द टेलीग्राम ग्रुप को मेरे को ज्वाइन कर सकते हो। द नेम ऑफ द टेलीग्राम ग्रुप इज मलूका सर, आप इस ग्रुप को ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं। If you have any doubt, you can also WhatsApp me on this number 9910133084. I've created a group for the Unacademy students, उनके लिए ग्रुप बनाया गया है। If you have any doubt in this any topic, you can message me. I will also add you to the group. पर जैसे ही करेंगे मैं से do write your name and definitely that you are a student of Unacademy. Then only I will be adding you to that group. तो फ्रेंड्स आज का सेशन हम यहीं पे ख़त्म करते हैं। आई विल टेकिंग अप वेरी मोर इंपॉर्टेंट सेशंस विच आर इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम यूपीएससी पर्सपेक्टिव। थैंक यू वेरी मच।